Steve and Rich are struggling to complete their most ambitious project, turning this ugly 70s bug into a cool custom classic. Unforeseen repair work has wrecked their time plan, and even with the help of restorer Charlie Merritt, they were left with barely a month to get their bug painted, assembled and on the road.
And good luck to them.
The first part was admirably achieved.
That is absolutely amazing.
But the cruise to Europe's biggest show had to be ditched.
We're not going to be able to make Spa, we've got a couple of weeks.
And we're rapidly running out of decent shows to go to. Brighton Breeze, never done Brighton Breeze before, but apparently it's quite good.
They now aim to be ready for the last show of the summer, the Brighton Breeze. That only gives them a month to get it fully assembled and MOT'd. Rich has been spending a lot of his time bargain hunting. Most top show cars will have had tens of thousands of pounds lavished on them, but with only £5 in their project fund, the lads have had to compromise.
They're not genuine bumpers, they're reproduction ones, but they'll do for now. You know, the quality of the metal is a lot thinner, the quality of the chrome is pretty poor, to be honest. Genuine ones normally cost 50, 60 quid a piece, but because we're on a budget and we've spent a lot of money on other bits and pieces like wheels, I have to go with these for the time being.
Right.
A big bonus with a Beetle is the shell can be separated from the chassis, which makes working on it much easier. The lads have completed most of the tricky jobs like pedals, brakes and cabling, so it's time to bolt the whole thing together. The body shell and chassis will be made watertight with rubber strips and sealant. Eventually, it'll be bolted into place, so the lad's first job is to make some holes to accommodate the bolts.
Just like you'd have a gasket in an engine to stop the oil getting out, this is to stop the water getting in.
To be on the safe side, the lads have decided to use some general-purpose sealant. But they should be avoiding the bolt holes because the sealant will now stick to the bolts, making the shell a lot harder to remove in the future.
Oh, we'd better have too much and too little.
Ready?
Ready? Yep.
Now the lads have the tricky job of lining up the shell with the chassis.
You need to lift up some more.
Yep. Oh, hold on, I know what it is. Right. That should do.
There are 40-odd bolts to line up.
On it?
Yep. The seals moved slightly.
In the factory, the rubber would have been nailed down first. And this job can be made easier by popping in a few rivets.
We've got a few bolts in at the moment just to locate everything. There's about 20 more of these ones to go in, which run down the sides and across the back. Once we get them all in loosely and it's all fitting right, we'll just tighten them all up and job done.
The boys plan to get the car MOT'd a week before the big Brighton show, so they need to crack on with the rest of the assembly. But not all the panels are ready.
They've come out a lot better than I thought they would in terms of the work that's had to be done to them before the painting. It's taken Charlie about a week to do these few panels. I think the rest of them are still there just drying off.
All of the panels were bought second-hand and have suffered a lifetime of abuse. Some of the bigger dents are easy to spot, but it takes a trained eye to see the full extent of the work needed.
Most people bring you a car and they say, can you fill this dent in here? And you say, do you want the other one filling in? So they'll look at it and say, where's the other one? You point it out and it's got a slight bit of a dent there. You probably wouldn't even pick that up with your camera, but you'd pick it up with a coat of shiny paint.
To achieve a minimal look, Steve has seam welded a plate over the vents. It's caused some slight distortion, and Charlie thinks this job was a bit heavy-handed.
You might be better working in the shipyard, to be quite honest with you, the amount of weld he's put on it.
It's now going to need more filling than Charlie would have liked, but he's worked on hundreds of VWs and he knows what to expect.
Take it you buy this stuff in bulk.
Only for campers and Beetles.
With the temperature in the 30s, Charlie won't be adding so much hardener to the mix.
In the winter, you want it sort of pink, so it goes straight off. In the summer, you just slow your hardener down, like, you know, that's just gone off before you can get it on the panel. You're stuck with a great dollop on your board.
Charlie makes sure the area is well covered with etch primer before he applies the filler. Without keying the surface like this, the filler would slip off like paint on glass.
Give it a bit of cook for a minute.
The whole process is repeated until the surface looks perfect. Then it's given exactly the same number of coats of primer and paint as the body shell to ensure a perfect match. The lads are up against it. The MOT is now only 2 weeks away. Luckily, Steve and Rich are members of the local VW club and support is only a phone call away.
In another couple of days and it could literally be ready to drive.
They've got a group of mates who are happy to sacrifice a Saturday to answer the call of duty. They all live and breathe VW, so this isn't the first time they've had to resuscitate a dead bug.
I do have a 1303 which I've stripped down, but that was over a year ago, so I'm pretty much learning as I go along.
Nigel has been given the role of Sparky for the day.
You glad you came, Nige?
But his initial enthusiasm dips when he sees the state of the wiring loom.
The wiring, I don't think we'll get the full way, but we should hopefully get a good way with the wiring. There's a few things we could probably take out of that.
All of the original components have been cleaned up and sprayed.